What's up, guys and family? Spiritual Essence here. I just found something posted by Today. If y'all know, that's like one of the news postings, you know what I mean? And I want y'all to take a look at this. just take a look at this.
For more on where we stand with the vaccine, plus how to stay safe during indoor activities, we have Dr. John Torres and Dr. Natalie Azar. Good morning to both of you. Dr. Torres, let me start with you and dig in here. I guess most importantly, where do we stand right now with the vaccine, and what does the timeline look like for approval?
Good morning, Chanel. And with the vaccine right now, there are three major companies that have gone into phase 3 here in the U.S. Moderna, Pfizer, and the Oxford
So
AstraZeneca.
they went through they're in phase three. They're in phase three. Watch.
They're going to give them either the vaccine or a placebo, and then they'll follow them along to see if they get the virus. If they get the virus, if they end up having less
if they get the virus,
which is what they're looking for, to find out about that safety and that efficacy, that effectiveness of the vaccine. This is going to take a while. This is going to take a few months.
Oh, but they're in phase 3. It's going to take a while.
Or by the end of the year, a lot of experts I talked to are saying, maybe late winter, early spring before we start getting it.
Oh, but they're in phase 3. But it's like
was talking about for some populations.
On that note, once the vaccine is approved, distribution will be the key obstacle. How will lawmakers decide who gets it?
But they're in phase 3.
And distribution will be the big key here. The National Academy of Sciences just came out with a recommendation looking at what they call 4 phases of vaccine distribution. And hopefully these recommendations are followed, but the CDC, Operation Warp Speed will be involved. The NIH is trying to decide.
They're in phase 3.
Essentially what it breaks down to is the first phase are going to be healthcare workers in the front line who can't get away from COVID patients. They have to be there. It's going to be people with pre-existing medical conditions and the elderly who are more vulnerable. Then switch to phase 2.
Oh, but they're saying the elderly is more vulnerable.
The essential workers have to go out there to keep society working, but they might also be exposed. They might take COVID back home. And again, some of the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. And then
Keyword
phase 3,
might.
Children, some adults, and then phase 4 is essentially everybody. These phases mean that, obviously we can't give 330 million vaccinations all at once, so they're going to break it down into which group get them at what point, and hopefully we can get that herd immunity, which means when we get to that
But
herd
they were
immunity,
just, there was a bunch of shots already being poured out of that machine.
I'm going to ask you what we call a water cooler question. I've never actually stood by a water cooler, but this is
Watch this shit.
People are worried that this is frankly moving too fast. So here's my question. If the vaccine was approved for emergency use, let's say tomorrow, would you be willing to get it in the first wave?
And Chanel, it depends on what the data comes out with, and that's what Dr. Fauci was talking about. Looking at the data, making sure that it's acceptable, that we've got enough through the phase 3, that we understand the safety primarily and the effectiveness of it. That's the important part here.
Covered a lot of ground there, Dr. Torres. This morning.
Hold on. This shit is funny. Water cooler question. If the vaccine came out tomorrow, how would you take it? And he goes on and talks about. Let's replay this shit. Let's just replay this.
Herd immunity, and hopefully we can get the pandemic more under control, Chanel.
Finally, let me squeeze this in. I'm going to ask you what we call a water cooler question. I've never actually stood by a water cooler, but this is what they call it. A lot of people are worried that this is frankly moving too fast. So here's my question. If the vaccine was approved...
People are worried too fast, but no one's talking about it.
Would you be willing to get it in the first wave?
And Chanel, it depends on what the data comes out with, and that's what Dr. Fauci was talking about. Making sure that it's acceptable.
It depends on what day it comes out of. That's not the question that was asked. That wasn't the question that was asked. If I remember it correctly, the question was, if it came out tomorrow, would you take the vaccine? And he goes on to apply and think